Here at the very latest in Washington is Washington Times journalist Alex Swoyer is with us. Alex, what do you got?
Health officials have confirmed that one patient is in isolation in a Dallas hospital after being diagnosed with Ebola. Thomas Eric Duncan had previously reported visiting West Africa when he first arrived at the hospital last month and stayed for 2 days, but was never flagged for possibly carrying the deadly virus. The CDC says Ebola cannot be transmitted like the common cold, but rather must be transmitted through bodily fluids. Breitbart News reports that the Immigration and Nationality Act gives the Secretary of Homeland Security, Jay Johnson, and the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Sylvia Burwell, the authority to have doctors evaluate immigrants applying for a visa. The law also passes the burden onto these immigrants coming into the United States to prove they do not have symptoms of the disease and have not been exposed. An official from the Center for Immigration Studies says the president already issued executive orders halting deportations for illegal immigrants who might be deported back to a country that has had an Ebola outbreak. But he has not done anything to protect American citizens. Under the law, the administration could stop all flights coming into the United States from any countries who have been impacted by the Ebola outbreak. Health officials say an outbreak in the U.S. is unlikely as long as the virus is contained. But the Washington Times reported that financial cuts and job cuts post-2008 at local and state health departments could create a problem if there was to be an outbreak on American soil. Back to you, Sean.
All right, Alex, thank you so much. And in the wake of the
accused of taking photos up women's skirts near the Lincoln Memorial back in 2013 has been cleared by a judge. The judge says the man did not violate a woman's privacy because the alleged act happened in public, and a woman should not expect to have privacy, essentially, in public. The ruling raises many concerns, including the question of how far do your rights actually extend and how you can protect yourself. Joining us now, Alex Swoyer is a reporter with the Washington Times and also an attorney. And welcome to the show. Glad you're here.
Thanks for having me, of course.
So when you first read this, you're outraged because
exactly.
Why can't I sit on the steps of the Lincoln and expect that someone won't take photos of my private areas?
Especially as a woman.
Right.
I have a girlfriend who's actually an attorney as well, and I shared this with her, and she said, well, one should always have a reasonable expectation to one's private.
Exactly.
But that's not the case.
Okay, apparently not.
No, in Texas actually as well, and Massachusetts recently had similar cases.
Okay.
And it's really hard to draw a line when you look at the Texas case. For example, a 50-year-old man was taking photos of children at SeaWorld in bathing suits. So, you get that fine line between the typical panty pics and then the swimsuit pics. It's all in public. As a journalist, anything on a sidewalk is in public view. So, the judge is really protecting free speech is what it comes down to.
Is there any troubling precedent that you see here as an attorney?
I think that there's a fine line, but as a journalist myself and an attorney, I do think the First Amendment is extremely important, and we protect it. And free speech, freedom of the press, just like if you had a press photographer there on the sidewalk, they would be able to take photos, images. And so I have to come down on the side that the judge was correct on this.
Now, mind you, and she did say that it was repellent and disturbing, however, then went on to follow the letter of the law here.
Absolutely. I don't think that anyone can argue that this individual might have a problem that he needs to get addressed. But as far as, breaking any law, I think the judge was correct.
It reminds me, now that we're talking about the paparazzi as well.
Exactly.
And it seems that would have, I talked about precedent, but it would also be closely watched by people who make a living of taking celebrities' photos when they don't know they're being taken.
And that was cited in the Texas case as well as the Massachusetts case, that where do you draw the line then on these peeping Tom versus a paparazzi photo?
Okay. Moving forward, do we expect that this the person who felt violated, they will charge or basically file any more legal proceedings here, or what do we expect to happen to this case?
I think that if one was to pursue something individually, I don't know if it would be civil court or whatnot, I do think that this could be, this case individually could be brought as a defense, because obviously there was no law broken.
Right.
It is in the public.
Okay.
So.
And this gentleman was from Springfield. He is free and clear of any wrongdoing then?
Right, yes,
okay.
as far as I know.
Okay. Alex, thank you very much. Alex is a reporter and with the Washington Times and also an attorney. Alex Swoyer, look for her articles in the Times. Thank you very much.
Here in the district, we're talking concealed carry gun laws. First, for the first time, I should say, D.C. has issued concealed carry permits, but for some, still not enough. Alex Swoyer is an attorney who's a reporter for the Washington Times, and Alex joins us now with a look at why some are upset by the process of getting that permit. Good morning. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
Tell me what has developed now, first of all, so we can know what exactly we're talking about with regard to concealed carry.
Right. So in 2008, the total ban on firearms was lifted in the district. So people were allowed to have and possess a firearm in their home. Now plaintiffs have come forward, and it was struck down in July, that you can now conceal and carry. So it was as of Wednesday that the police department had to have regulations for how one can apply to possess a firearm and conceal and carry. And, the regulations aren't very different than what we see in Maryland.
Okay. Some are complaining about the process itself just being a bit complicated. How difficult is it?
So you have to have 18 hours of training, which isn't any different than Maryland. Maybe a little bit different than Virginia. We see Virginia being a little bit more lax. There is the issue that I see with the police department. They don't currently have any firearm instructors who teach the training.
Okay.
So I think that that's somewhat of an issue if you're requiring these 16 hours and they have 45 days to complete this process. They're going to need to have certified instructors.
Okay.
And so that's one of the criticisms that we're reaching. Also, it's $435 for these instructors to become certified. In Maryland, it's $0. So a lot of the instructors are a little upset about that.
How many permits do we know how many were issued on the first day?
Right, only 3. But lawmakers suspect there could be hundreds, as there are about 3,300 handgun owners in the district.
Okay. We know that some are still upset. Is this pretty much, though, where the law is going to rest right now as far as...
Actually, on November 20th, there's another hearing. The plaintiffs have come forward and are upset with the regulations. They do say they're still too restrictive and don't comply with the judge's order from July. The good reason portion that you have to show as a gun owner that you have a good reason to need to conceal and carry, that's not any different than Maryland. The issue that when I was doing my research and saw there is part of the regulations that say that the police chief may limit the geographic area, circumstances, or times of day, week, month, or year in which a license is valid or effective. You're not allowed to carry in federal places, in Texas, anywhere. But I do think that the times of day, week, that could get kind of iffy here and there for some people. So I might see that being a little too restrictive, that it needs to be set in stone, more or less, so someone isn't guessing, can I have my firearm, can I not? The other issue you see is the district is small compared to most states. And so, you can be driving and all of a sudden enter Maryland. Well, Maryland doesn't recognize any other permit holders. Their license is recognized in 19 states, but they don't recognize any. So that becomes a problem. You need to know where your boundaries are.
Right. It's complicated.
Yes, definitely.
It's complicated, okay.
And it's not settled. So maybe we'll see something change as of November 20th, but for right now, people can still apply.
Alrighty. Alex, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Keeping up to date on all the changing laws in regard to concealed carry. Thanks. Come back and see us.
Of course.